What's going on, everybody? Welcome on into Press Coverage. We help you gain an edge in fantasy football. I'm your host, as always, Wyatt Brittle, and with me today, Derek Brown, to talk about Dynasty rookie drafts because they're coming up soon. Derek, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. We were talking in the green room, man. It's a wild time to be alive. Everybody hates this class. It's probably never been easier in any Dynasty league you're in to trade into the first round and not get taxed to have them back to do it. So I'm enjoying it because I see a lot of value in this class, and everybody out there just keeps crapping on it. So
that's a really good way to look at it because, like, I've been thinking about this class. Like, I'm sure every rookie draft I'm in, there's gonna be so many people saying, like, pick is on the block. Everyone's gonna try to trade back. It might be hard to do so because people don't want to come up, but maybe there is an edge to be gained by being the person in your draft who tries to actually come up because the prices might be low.
Agreed. And I do this kind of every year where it's like even rookie drafts and, a lot of dynasty managers do where I might not have any picks, but by the end of the rookie draft, I've traded in and I've acquired some picks. So even though I don't look like I have anything, it's not about how you finish, not how you start.
Yeah, so everybody out there, we're going to be giving you a little bit of like a super flex rookie draft primer of sorts. We're just going to work through some talking points about rookie drafts, help you get prepared. And first off, I want to talk about what is the consensus top five, because there's basically been a consensus top five the entirety of evaluation process of Jeremiah Love, Fernando Mendoza, Mekhi Lemon, Jordan Tyson, Cardinal Tate, in whatever order you want with those wide receivers. But those tend to be the consensus top five. Do you agree with that consensus?
I do not agree with that consensus because my wide receiver rankings are different.
Okay, well, tell me about it.
I put my wide receiver primer, my prospect primers live on fantasypros.com. That went live on Monday. So everybody needs to go check that out. I wrote up 35 plus. I think it's 38 in total. And I'm going to continue to add to that as I've hopefully unearthed some more all 22 for a few wide receivers and continue to add to that. But 38 wide receivers in totality. My top three wide receivers of this class, and this is not just for the sake of being different, and we're going to talk about it. We could dive through all of this. Cardinal Tate is my wide receiver one of this class. He's in a tier by himself. There is nobody standing as his peer. My wide receiver two of this class is Casey Concepcion, and my wide receiver three of this class is Denzel Boston. And for everybody wondering, wide receiver four is Jordan Tyson. Wide receiver five is Mekhi Lemon.
Ooh, that is very interesting. I really love the Casey Concepcion confidence because I really love him as a prospect. I really do. Awesome. He's still behind Lemon and Tyson for me at this moment, but like I know that a lot of the community thinks like there's a clear gap between them, possibly even like a big gap. I would say he's debatably just like with them. I just think his profile is really, really clean, especially after he came in at the combine and weighed and measured a really good height and weight, because there was like some worry heading into there that he was going to be a little bit smaller. We're like, okay, how does his profile translate now to the NFL? But with him having that real size, proves he's already proven he can play like across the formation like that. Just really kind of solidified that. Let's talk about Lemon and Tyson a little bit first, since they are outside your top five. Talk to, how you're feeling about them against, Boston and Concepcion.
So I put Concepcion and Boston above Tyson and Lemon. I think that the three best route runners in this class are Cardinal Tate. He's the best one. I think Concepcion is number two, and I think Boston's number three. And this is no shade against, and everybody thinks I'm a Jordan Tyson hater or a Mekhi Lemon hater. I'm not a hater, but like how I attack my process and stuff, it's not just the analytics, it's the blend of film and analytics, because just like anything else, and people could say, like, we all know this, like numbers can lie to you. And what does that look like? And I feel like, and this is over the last few years, I've blended more and more of film into my process. And I come out with Casey Concepcion and Denzel Boston are above those other two guys because I got more questions about Tyson and Lemon's profiles, where Casey Concepcion, I fully believe he could win as an outside wide receiver. We saw that in his final year at Texas A&M. Was a slot guy to begin his collegiate career, finished his final year with a 65% perimeter snap rate. He gives you everything. Like, he's got the speed. He can get deep. He could play the perimeter. He could deal with man press coverage. He can also, and one of the things that I thought was really impressive about his profile, and it doesn't get talked about a lot, is with the 12.2 ADOT, he still was 26th in yak per reception. Like, you don't see guys that have higher ADOTs, and that's not like a 14, 15, 16 ADOT. but it's high enough. And you don't see guys that can also blend the ability to give you something after the catch when they're not getting all these targets. Like a lot of the guys you see that are higher in yak per reception are guys that that they get fed a steady diet of targets in that short to intermediate area, usually the short and around the line of scrimmage, because it's basically get the ball in their hands and let them do their work. And so Concepcion, it's like we have a guy that has a 76 percentile college dominator. Use that how you will. He also checks the box as a 90 percentile collegiate breakout age, so early career production. And everybody's like, oh, but the drops. They want to knock him down for that. It's like, dude, go watch the film. Most of these drops are not because of his hands. They're concentration drops. He's too worried about what he's about to have to do after the catch or what he's going to do instead of concentrating on securing the ball and then make something happen. I've seen so many plays, and I could pull up clip after clip after clip of Casey Concepcion making contested catches in muddy catch points, and you see that with his contested catch rate in college, as well as there are multiple spots on his film where he gets a reception and he gets rocked by one or two defenders and he holds on. You don't do that when you have crappy hands. So people can miss me with the drop rates. And Boston, I don't care if he ran a freaking 4.5. That doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
How many times in years do we have to freaking do this, man? People said Tedero McMillan was too slow to go in the top 10, that he was overrated and he didn't watch film, blah, blah, blah. How'd that take age? People said Drake London was too slow. How did that age? Both those guys are perfectly fine. Denzel Boston is a bigger wide receiver. He is an awesome route runner. He understands pacing, leverage, adds all the bells and whistles to his routes. His body control is freaking fantastic. He plays above the rim. He's going to be a red zone weapon from day one. And I'm not telling you that the ceiling is high where I think Boston is going to be like a top 10 dynasty wide receiver. But can he be top 15? Can he be top 20? Like my comp for him is Cortland Sutton, and that's the kind of career arc I see. Like I think he's going to probably in most NFL offenses operate as one of the league's best wide receiver twos. But can he be a de facto wide receiver one in an offense? I fully believe that. So that's where I come down with Boston and Concepcion. But Jordan Tyson, man, like it's not the injury stuff, but that is part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah. I mean, some people brought it up. I just think that needs to be put to the side. Like, he came back from the worst of the injuries and put up his most productive season. Like, we can just agree.
Yes, I emphatically agree with that. And it's now it didn't work out, but it was something like when Eric All came out. Now, yes, he ended up like with another injury and stuff like that. But everybody's like, oh, look at the injury history and blah blah blah. It's like, dude, like we're really gonna knock a guy for an injury, a knee injury in 2022. When he's already come back and he's proven the knee wasn't a problem. Now he's got dealing with the hamstring. So it's like, and he's still dealing with the hamstring injury. So in the totality of it, do you weigh the injury stuff? Fine. People can do that. I'm not as concerned about that. But when you look at Tyson's profile, yes, we could point to early career production. Yes, we could point to yards per route run. But even last year, it wasn't like he was elite in yards per route run. Like amongst all FBS wide receivers with at least 50 targets, he was 60th. Now, in the previous year, yeah, he was 11th. But this year, he wasn't. And he finishes college with a 2.7 yards per route run, which is really good. Is it elite? It's not elite. And then you go peeling back the other layers of the onion, and it's like, okay, well, let's look at the rest of his game. Is he an elite yak producer? No. He had 5.1 yards after the catch per reception over the last 2 years. He only forced 13 missed tackles in totality since 2024. So he's not giving you a ton with yak. Okay, fine. But also with the physical prowess. And I think the guy is really, really athletic. Now, he is yet to test. That's obvious because of the injury and stuff like that. But also when you look at the profile for somebody who's supposed to be a top tier athlete, okay, well, he's not producing yak at an insane level. And it wasn't like he was used as a prototypical deep threat. That wasn't the case. He did most of his best work, whether on the perimeter or in the slot, in the short and intermediate areas. Like his hip fluidity is fantastic. Like he can flip his hips and get work ins, outs, and destroy a defense in zone coverage. That's fine. But there are holes in the profile when you want to talk about yak, missed tackles forced, as well as at his size, it's not like he is a ballpoint winner at the catch point consistently to the levels of even a Concepcion, a Tate, or even a Denzel Boston, where last year he only had a 43.8% contested catch rate. And so it's not that I hate the guy. It's just I have more questions about just the analytical profile before we even get to talking about the film, where he's got areas in his route running he has to still improve. There's some tick-tocky footwork. He's still not like selling the vertical stem and getting downtown where it's like the route salesmanship. There's inefficiencies in his footwork when you ask him to run double moves. Jordan Tyson screams to me as a player that has been a top-tier athlete, and he survived on the top-tier athleticism as in high school and in college. And the finer points of playing the wide receiver position, he's still growing into that. So could we walk away in a few years where he is the undisputed, clear wide receiver one of this freaking class? Sure. But to say that he is a perfect prospect, he is the clear runaway wide receiver one, wide receiver two, if you have him anywhere else, I disagree with that. But I'm curious your thoughts.
Yeah, so Concepcion, the drop thing doesn't worry me at all. When I had John Lobb on, we were talking about this, and basically I said, like, drops don't matter to me unless they're getting into the player's body. That's when I worry about it, because then we're talking about technique problem. That's not a problem for Concepcion.
No, it's not about
got some concentration issues, as you noted, which is something he could easily work on coming into the NFL and once he's in the NFL. Boston, it's a profile thing for me where it's like, okay, he's been this kind of outside X, working a lot downfield, but he has shown the ability to do other things. I mean, they even had him returning punts at times, like showing like you only do that to a player who you know is good in the open field, or it's one of your best in the open field. Like I wonder, like, can he get to like the Michael Pittman profile where he's getting some of the more of those intermediate, dig routes and that kind of stuff to really build that profile forward. That's my only concern is where does he get pegged once he gets in the NFL? Does a team allow him to do that full route tree or not? No dislike, for Boston. I found myself actually slightly lower on him, like coming into things, because I was so early on Concepcion saying like Concepcion over Boston, and like the consensus was Boston over him to begin with. But like I'm not actually low on him. It's just that I wanted to make sure I had Concepcion ahead. Tyson, I think he might have the best mixtape in the entire group. Like if you just took the top plays of each player, like he might have the best mixtape of all of them, but he's inconsistent. And it's been really, as people have dug in more and more into his film and everything this offseason, it's really come to light more that, some of the routes, like they can look really good at times, look really bad at times. Like you said, a contested catch situation, like sometimes he's there, sometimes it's not. Like it's just, I think he might be the most naturally gifted pass catcher, but he has to put it together consistently down to down. I'm betting on that happening right now. But like, there's absolutely a floor to that. And then, bringing up Mekhi Lemon real quick, I think it's another thing. It's another like profile thing, like probably mostly slot in the NFL, but he can play outside. He has the highest yards per route run of the class outside. But will a team do that with him? I would guess if they draft him in the first, they're going to put him outside more, which is why I'm still taking him very highly. And in fact, he's my wide receiver one, because I do believe that will happen for him. And I think that his talent in the slot in the NFL will be so good that he will be that like high volume wide receiver in the short intermediate. And because he's good after the catch, good in contested situations, like he does all those little things right. So I still believe in that happening for him. I think that profile will grow in the NFL.
So with Mekhi Lemon, and I didn't get to him yet. For me, I really like him. I think he is a very strong wide receiver, but to your point, I think he's a slot confined player. Like I don't see him as a perimeter wide receiver that can threaten a defense at all three levels. When you look at his the verticality to his game, when he's asked to run perimeter routes, and especially getting into the second and third level of a defense, he thinks that he's T. Higgins. He thinks that he's like 6'2", 6'3", and he can go win all these back shoulder catches and stuff.
I love that dog in him.
No, but that's good. But my question is, does that translate to the NFL? Right. Can you still do those things in the NFL? Maybe he can, but I have more questions about that in the NFL. And I think there are also differences in his 2024 to 2025 tape. His 2024 tape, where I feel like we saw a twitchier player both after the catch, in his routes, in and out of his breaks, where 2025, he looked more stiff and robotic. And for a player that, he was 6th and 12th in yards per route run over the last 2 years. But last year, he was only 60th and yak per reception. And it's like, but I was told this man was a yak god. Like I was told that, he was otherworldly with yak, and like that was his calling card. Like he was 28th the year before that. So like these are good marks. Well, like 2024 was a strong mark, but it wasn't elite. 2025 was not even a good mark. So it's like, okay, so what are we getting out of him? And even in 2024, he was only 50th in missed tackles forced. So the high points of his game, I don't think it's a bulletproof profile. Like we could talk about the early career production, the per route production. It's all definitely there. Now, but again, going into the collegiate game versus the pro game, I mean, dude, all college defenses, it is rare when you get like the small amount is finite of what we see, not just of like man coverage, but like press coverage and stuff. So yeah. Can he win with that, like in the NFL, where it's like, I think he's probably in most aspects, like I know he went out and ran a 4.5. I think he's more of like a 4.6 player when it's all said and done, not training to run the 40 and stuff like that, like on field and tape speed.
Sure.
Can he beat zone coverage? Sure. But my thing is, everybody keeps talking about him like he's Amon-Ra St. Brown. I don't think he's Amon-Ra St. Brown. I think Amon-Ra St. Brown is a unicorn like that. And Amon-Ra St. Brown is a more refined route runner and has an element of verticality to his game. He's had that since he was at freaking USC. You can go back and look at the last few years of Detroit. Even when they ask him to get deep, he can. And Lemon, I just have questions about that and questions about – and the other thing I'll point about Lemon, and the reason I have him lower is – this version of the NFL, we all talk about, okay, there's more 12 and 13 personnel. The top teams in the freaking NFL last year only utilized 11 personnel, 63 to 69%. So we're talking about it's not even 70% of the freaking plays. Like if we were living in a world where we're talking about the Rams of yesteryear, or most of these teams are 80 to 90% 11 personnel, and that's where they're living in, then I would be higher on Lemon. But if he is a slot confined player and teams ask him when they go into 12 and 13 personnel to play the perimeter and we're going to put you outside, you just need to win and you got to route dudes up, I have more worries than a lot of the consensus about his ability to consistently do that. Where, I mean, dude, if we'd have gone to 10 years ago and we were living in a world where it was like 85% 11 personnel, sure, let's bump Lemon up. Let's go. Okay, cool. I'm bumping him up the ranks. But now in a world where we see like the Josh Downs of the world and other slot wide receivers, and we talk about the how formations are getting condensed and a lot of these guys are getting taken off the field, if Mekhi Lemon proves that he's not Amon-Ra St. Brown, but instead, and I know people take this as slander, go look at the freaking stats this guy put up in the NFL, much less what he did in fantasy at the beginning of his career. If he's not Amon-Ra St. Brown and he's more Jarvis Landry, are people going to be that damn happy with him? I'm just asking the question.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. And that's what makes this draft class so interesting. And why I was saying, like in the beginning, that actually I think that KC Concepcion is actually much closer like these. Like I think this might actually be one big group potentially as opposed to tiers. Now I know you said I want to touch on Colonel Tate real quick. That he's your wide receiver one. He's wide receiver one for a lot of people. He's my wide receiver two. I think he's just really clean and easily projectable to the NFL. My only nitpick, if I had to give one for what he's going to be in the NFL, is how much does he get? Similar to Boston, how much does he get other than some of the deeper stuff? Which, because we know he can do it, right? He shows it that he can. It's just how much of it does he get, and how much does it translate to the NFL? That's my only nitpick, and I say that as a small nitpick.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. It's like, I know he was mainly used as a vertical wide receiver with a 14.6 ADOT in his final season. But if you like, for me, it's like when I turn on the film, I have no questions about his ability to win at all three levels. And earning targets, yes, we can talk about it as a skill. Like it also is a function of collegiate offenses, who's around you, all that kind of different stuff too. And not to say that, like, you'll see a guy in college that earns like a 17 or 18% target share, and then all of a sudden he becomes like a 28% target share guy. I look at Lemon, like I comfortably, I feel like, projecting him as a 22, 23% target share guy, I think is comfortable. Like, depending on the spots and who's around him and stuff, could he can he be a 25% target share guy? I think that's in his bag. Because again, you're talking about, I think he's a clean eval. Like, I think he is clearly the best route runner in this class. And I'm not, I'm not making waves by saying that, but he has such a well-rounded skill set. Like, he can get deep. He can win at all three levels. He can offer something, whether it's in the red zone, playing above the rim. He has good body control. He wins in contested catch situations. He doesn't have any, like, the drop problem is just, there is no drop problem. Yeah, the dude didn't have a drop in his final freaking season in college. Like, so it's all there for me. So, I don't want to get too deep in the sauce about, like, and I feel like people just use these kind of narratives to kind of shade players where it's like, he wasn't the number one in his own team. Didn't we do this crap with Justin Jefferson before? And how did that work out? Like, haven't we done this like in previous years of like, well, he wasn't the number one in his own team? When you're surrounded by like a lot of freaking studs, we did this. I mean, people did this about numerous prospects in the past, and I'm just not going to do it. It's like, are you good or are you not? Okay, he's good. What level of good? Really damn good. Okay, then I'm not worried about it.
Yeah. All right, everybody, we're going to take a quick second to hear about the Dynasty Deluxe package on playerprofiler.com. When we got to come back, we've got some more Superflex rookie mock draft talk for you.
What does Player Profiler do best? Dynasty. Do we have the best Dynasty rankings there are? Oh, they have tight end premium. Oh, Superflex. Oh, but also win now mode versus rebuild mode. The most sophisticated best rankings using Player Profiler data that exist in the world are available on playerprofiler.com. Big surprise. That's right. There's a trade analyzer to know, should I make this trade or not? And then there's a trade finder. There's Dynasty League Sync. There's an ADP tracker. All the tools Dynasty League players need. So get it now. It's $45, not per month, per year. So let's go start building super teams.
Back here on press coverage with Derek Brown, talking about some Superflex rookie points for your drafts coming up. Make sure you are liked and subscribed. Derek, tell people what you got going on at Fantasy Pros before we keep going.
Oh, so much stuff, man. I've got all the prospect primers will be live on Fantasy Pros before the NFL draft. Quarterback, running back, wide receiver are currently out. Are already live on the site. I'm working on the tight end write-ups this week. I will have my top 100, so that's 100 skill players. So just quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, all written up on fantasypros.com. I've done the top 100 the last like 2 or 3 years in a row, and then it's just all the shows, man. We've launched the Fantasy Pros Dynasty YouTube channel, the Tailgate, which is just NFL talk, no fantasy, just NFL takes. And Seth Wilcock and myself, shout out to my co-host man, I love Seth. Love that dude like a brother. So we've been rocking the Fantasy Pros NFL Draft Show. That is my baby, my labor of love. This is our 3rd season doing it. Had an amazing litany of guests on it. And next week we'll have Thor Nystrom stopping by to talk NFL draft sleepers and the tight end class.
Awesome. Love to hear it. Now, in this rookie class, this is really a 2 tight end kind of rookie class. There's 2 that shine above everyone else at this time, Kenyon, Sadiq, and Eli Stowers. I want to know from you, are they both first-round picks in Dynasty Superflex rookie drafts for you? They are for me. I think that's a little bit of a product of this class, but I want to hear from you.
Yeah, they're both first-round picks. Like, I've got Kenyon, Sadiq. So after Mendoza, Love, and the top 5 wide receivers, I've got Sadiq at 108 and Superflex rankings for rookies. And I've got Eli Stowers at the 110 right now. Some of this can change. Maybe one or two of the running backs, like Mike Washington Jr., Jadarian Price, get a good landing spot. Maybe one of them goes over Stowers. Stowers is kind of the guy that I think his ranking versus the back end of the first round, top of the second round is going to highly depend on what is his landing spot and what is the draft capital tied to him. Where Kenyon Sadiq, I think he's locked in as a first round NFL draft selection. Stowers, I wouldn't be shocked if he makes it into the first round. That's not what I'm projecting. Like, I think he's going to be like probably like a mid second round pick, maybe falls to the end of the second round.
Yeah, I agree with you on where they're going to be drafted. I wouldn't be surprised if Stowers goes first round, but not expecting it. I also have Stowers at the 110 for myself, and that is a big product of where are these other running backs going to land, because it's really important for my evaluation process for them, because once we get past Love, there's holes to be picked in all these running backs really easily, and I really love Eli Stowers. I've been saying, like, at cost, I'm trying to draft Eli Stowers instead of Kenyon Sadiq, because Stowers has a really impressive production profile from college. The analytics look very good for him. Sadiq's not quite so much, but Sadiq is still my tight end one in this class, because there's a big difference between them in that Sadiq is actually a capable blocker, can get his nose in there in the run game and help out, while Eli Stowers is a legit liability, which really affects their projection coming into the NFL. Stowers cannot be in all formations. He has to be kind of catered to. Now, with that said, I would expect any coaching staff, front office that spends a high pick on Stowers to be very aware of this and play to his strengths, but he does have a thinner needle to thread than Kenyon Sadiq coming into the NFL. And, like, while Sadiq's floor is, he never really panned out, and he's like Eric Ebron or something like that, Stowers is like, he's this positionless player in the worst kind of way, and we're not getting anything from him. How are you feeling about that?
I mean, I think you hit on a lot of points that I really agree with, and that's why I have Sadiq in a tier by himself, and I have Stowers in a tier by himself, because I look at this tight end class, and again, I'm still going through all the write-ups and stuff like that, like trying to figure out, outside of the top two, who is going to be my tight end 3 through whatever right now. But Sadiq is my clear tight end 1, because I'm not, again, going back to this version of the NFL. Why? Dude, we're talking about, okay, blocking has to be part of your bag to be, because here's the thing. We talk about volume is king. That's not only target volume, that's snaps and routes. You got to be on the freaking field to get targets, to score fantasy points. If you're not on the field, you can't do anything. Hello, Dalton Kincaid. And that could easily be the case for Eli Stowers, where it's like, I'm not projecting that, but that's the difference between Kenyon Sadiq and Eli Stowers, where Sadiq, we could talk about the production metrics and what have you and stuff like that. There's also a conversation to be had about Dante Moore and how Sadiq was used in that offense too.
For sure.
Some of the things where he's not getting a large market share and some of these things could also be a Dante Moore thing and maybe not a Kenyon Sadiq thing as well, for tying the two together. Because again, like, Terrence Ferguson didn't have the most glittering production profile and stuff like that coming out of Oregon and stuff. So it's like, okay, how much is quarterback? How much is scheme? How much is, what are they asking to? The thing that I'll go back to Sadiq is the most highly correlated position in all of freaking fantasy to athleticism and high-end athleticism is the freaking tight end position. So it's like, if you run slower than a 4.7 40, like if you're a 4.8 40 or slower, coffin nail. You will not be fantasy relevant. You can count those two guys on one hand. It's basically Kyle Rudolph and Isaiah Likely if you want to toss them into the bucket. Outside of that, nobody. Nada. Every single one of the high-end and elite tight end options in fantasy and in the NFL are all otherworldly alien athletes. And that's what Kenyon Sadiq is. So, again, like, we could talk about market share and things like that, but Kenyon Sadiq still, amongst tight ends over the last 2 years, was 12th and 14th in missed tackles, was also 17th and 23rd in yak. So the production is still there. The film doesn't lie. The athleticism is otherworldly. So I'm just betting on traits and correlation of those traits. And with Stowers, again, it goes back to, is he a full-time player in the NFL, or is he going to be capped at a 60% route share because of the offense that he is in and because of the blocking that he can't handle? Because he can't. And can he become a passable blocker? And again, we chase, like, I don't want to say we chase this, but we fall on the sword all the time, right? Of like the assumption of rational coaching. Well, if a team invests draft capital, they're going to have a plan to use him. That sounds really good, but how many times they always say, like, you got a plan until you get punched in the mouth? Well, yeah, the head coach got a plan until they get punched in the mouth by the tight end that can't freaking block. So how much can he stay on the damn field? So it can be, it's not a problem until it's a problem. And it's a problem walking into the NFL for Eli Stowers. So we can feel really great about it. and about his upside of receiving and stuff, like Dalton Kincaid, and yes, injuries have been a problem for Dalton Kincaid, but go to even Rondé Gadsden. Down the back half of last year, he wasn't a full-time player. So it's like if Stowers is put into this 60% route share role, much like I was talking about with Micaiah Lemon, but to a more severe degree with Eli Stowers, if that's the case, his floor is lowered and his ceiling is capped in fantasy and in NFL production. It just is. And so I don't know if that's going to be the case, but that's the worry.
Yeah, I'm with you. I love Stowers, but I also recognize the floor is the actual floor when it comes to him. Let's talk about some running backs real quick. Who's your RB2 as of now? And if it is independent of draft capital or not, like, let me know. Like, how are you feeling?
So I went back and forth on a daily basis, flip-flopping between Mike Washington Jr. and Jadarian Price. I have settled on Mike Washington Jr. right now before draft capital, pre-NFL draft rankings. He is my RB2 of the class over Jadarian Price, where, again, we're talking about production profiles and things like that. You can poke holes in both of these guys' profiles, but I think if we're looking at like more proof of concept of being a 3-down back, then I think I'm leaning in Mike Washington Jr. And then we also marry this with he went out and talking about people that tested like a damn alien. Like Mike Washington Jr. looks, I mean, he tested like the dude was built in a freaking lab.
Yeah.
And then it marries up with the profile, man. Like he was 17th in breakaway rate last year, 33rd in yards after contact per attempt. He's huge. He could break off long runs. An NFL team is really going to like him. Now, like, is he ever going to be a pass game weapon? No. But can he be a serviceable check down guy? Absolutely. And he's already like, I think he's serviceable as far as a pass blocking or pass protection guy, like 140 pass blocking snaps in college. He allowed 1 sack and 6 hurries. So whereas Jadarian Price, we're kind of staring into the abyss and waiting for it to scream back at us. Like, can he play on passing downs? We don't know. I'm trying to watch Jadarian Price and get a handle on how he is as a receiver. Like in limited usage, yeah, he looks competent. Soft hands, looks good. A few wheel routes. Like I'm pulling up high school clips of Jadarian Price catching the damn ball to figure out, can he do it? And I think the big thing, and I've heard the name evoked in the same breath as Jadarian Price, and I push back on it because a very similar profile, and I'm not the first to make this, but the one-to-one comparison is Kenneth Walker of previous year, about like a guy we're betting on the rushing talent to kind of carry the day and the pass catching stuff, we don't know. Well, Kenneth Walker is a special runner. Like, dude, he is a special runner. Like, I loved him. I had him ranked over Breece Hall when he came out because I was like, this dude is different. The way that he can, and one of the things that like I love about running back so much is one of the skills that is agnostic of wherever you land, middle of the road, top tier offensive line, bad offensive line. Can you create yards for yourself?
Mm-hmm.
If you can do that, I don't give a crap what offensive line you're running behind. You can create yards for yourself, and that skill translates. And so Kenneth Walker, I was more willing to sit here and bet on the high end to elite rushing ability that I saw on tape. Jadarian Price is good, man. He's not in the same phylum as a Kenneth Walker as a rushing talent. He's just not. And I like the kid. I really do. But he's not the same guy. So it's like, okay, if we have problems about passing downs and we feel like that's kind of like, a black hole, we don't know what to expect out of that. Okay, well, then you talk about, okay, well, it's not just the limited resume as a pass catcher. He has a limited resume as a pass protector. Like, and it's an adventure. When you watch him on pass pro snaps, there's a lot of, okay, maybe, and there's a lot of scary. So it's like, okay, well, if he's not an elite early down talent, what happens to him in the NFL if he can't pick up the pass pro stuff and he's only a serviceable check down option in the passing game? Then he's pigeonholed as a first and second down only type of guy, and we're not getting any kind of equity based off of receiving chops and stuff like that. And the profile kind of falls by the wayside because I'm like, with a player like Kenneth Walker, the rushing talent was good enough to where I felt like it could carry and make up for a lot of the other sins in his profile. Jadarian Price is good. He's not that level of good.
I'm okay with admitting that I'm waiting for draft capital and landing spot to dictate.
No, that's fair.
RB2 is between these two, because like we could poke holes in both of them. We know what they are. You know, it's like pretty obvious with both of them at this point. I like,
but if Price goes round 1 and Mike Washington goes round 3, we're not even having a conversation. You know what I mean?
Like it just is what it is. They both have their holes. I both think they're good prospects, but like not great. You know, and I am just gonna let draft capital, landing spot, you know, help me make that decision between them. Like I'm okay with meeting. I know we're supposed to have takes all the time. This is one where I'm like, you know, I think they're pretty darn close. I'm just gonna let this go up to the NFL draft gods on this one. But after those two, is there another player that sticks out? And this can not necessarily as like your 4th running back in your rankings, just like a running back that sticks out for you at cost compared to other people.
There is one. So there's 2 names that I'll evoke with this. Seth McGowan definitely sticks out from the athleticism standpoint. There are a lot, like he's an older prospect.
Yeah.
Off the field stuff, all of that stuff is a definitive concern, but he's got the Isaiah Pacheco type of prospect profile here where he's otherworldly athletic. And honestly, that's my comp for him. And it's not just the prospect profile. It's, dude, he runs angry. He runs mean. He runs like he is trying to make the ground pay for all of the sins of the world. Like he is trying to punish the earth beneath his feet. So Seth McGowan is one guy that I'll bring up here. I'm going to go really deep with this guy, and I don't hear anybody talk about him, and I know he doesn't have the flashiest, sexiest skill set. I'm a big fan of his game based off of, and I'm looking for my notes here. I'm a big fan of his game because I like the totality of the 3-down skill set that he brings to the table. And again, when I say I really like this guy, I'm telling you he's probably going to be a round 5, round 6 UDFA type, taxi squad type. But if I were to tell you this guy got a cup of coffee as a starter based off of injuries and, you know, at least gave you a runway of production if he falls backwards into the workload, I really like Dean Connors, dude. He is really far down the trough. I'm not telling you that he's like explosive athletic, but he has, you look at the overall makeup of his entire game, he's got a 3-down skill set. He can make things happen. Like he's not otherworldly athletic, but 61st in yards to contact per attempt and breakaway rate in 2024. He's a solid pass protector. He's a trusted check down option. I mean, you were also talking about a guy that overall in college garnered a 14.4% collegiate target rate. He had 1.43 yards per route run or higher in 2 of his final 3 collegiate seasons. So again, this isn't a player like I'm pounding the table for and I'm telling everybody, oh, draft him in round 2 of your rookie draft, round 3, whatever. Pick him up on a taxi squad. If injuries, what have you, or a team like loves this guy and they bring him into the building, he's the RB3 on a depth chart. Don't be surprised if he climbs and we're all like, oh, holy crap, like Dean Connors is an RB2 on a depth chart. Like the guy that I comp him to, and I think he's a much more athletic. And again, I'm not just going like, you know, I'm not just scouting based off of who he is, but he's a more athletic version of Rex Burkhead to me.
I like that. You know, Seth McGowan, if it wasn't for the age, which obviously affects his draft capital and how long he's available in the NFL and everything, his profile is like so clean. If it just wasn't the age, you know, like if it didn't take him so long, it's a really actually nice profile. Dean Connors, it's anytime there's a running back with like legit receiving in his profile like that, you always got to like pay attention. And that's what I was going to say, that one of the deep cuts for me that I'm going to be paying attention to is Adam Randall, just because anytime you're a converted wide receiver, I'm going to keep my eye on you. And he's a special one because he's 230 and can run at that size, which is really interesting. And then also shout out Eli Heidenreich, who I don't even know he's actually a running back.
I think he's going to be a slot receiver. I do. I think he's going to transfer and be a slot receiver in the NFL.
really interesting name. Who, yeah, I think he can be a slot receiver. And like his advanced analytics are just like absurd stuff, like record breaking.
Oh,
because he played.
they're goofy.
He played at Navy, and it doesn't really count.
It doesn't. Right. But to your point, though, like if I was ranking him amongst the wide receivers, he'd be a top 20 wide receiver in this class for me, because I think he has legit like route running chops, and again the athleticism and stuff. Like, and yes, with Heidenreich, I didn't go running back comp because I do fully believe he will transition to wide receiver. He's the same size, speed, build as Julian Edelman, so that was my comp for him.
Yeah. Or speaking of deeper cut wide receivers, who are yours? So, later in the draft, what are you thinking?
Oh man, there's a litany of guys. How deep do you want me to go with this? Because I can go really deep with this. I could give you some guys that I think go round 3, round 4. Like, how deep cut do you want, Wyatt?
I'm going to mostly leave that up to you, but let's give these people some players to look at, in their 3rd, 4th round of the rookie drafts.
I mean, look, I think he's not going to get near the buzz, and there's a lot of worry about the profile and things like that. I'm not going to tell you that there's not, but dude, the tape don't lie and the analytics don't lie. I freaking love Eric McAllister, and I know people are going to
love it.
I know people are going to get burned by TCU wide receiver and blah, blah, blah. This dude's this is not a Jalen Reagor situation. It's not a Josh Dotson situation. It's not a Quentin Johnson situation. And we're discussing a wide receiver over the last 3 years is ranked 26th, 16th, and 15th in yards per route run. Last year, he was 4th in missed tackles forced. I'll give some context to that in a second, though. Over the last 2 seasons, he has been 14th and 4th in yak per reception. This guy has size. He has speed. Now, are there, again, there are off-field concerns. He had an aggravated assault in 2024, threatening somebody with a gun from an injury standpoint, had a hamstring injury in 2025. 2026, he had a knee scope in January. And March, he had a Jones fracture at his freaking pro day where on a bum foot, he ran a 4.53. So there are worries about it, but the analytics are awesome, as well as the film is really fun. Like, this guy could run the whole route tree. He can get downtown. His ball tracking is so fun, man. Like, he has these one-handed catches where he tracks the ball and he just makes it look like it's just another easy play for him, as well as he gives you that run after the catch. Like, is he a guy that looks like he's shot out of a cannon immediately? No, he's more of a build-up speed guy, but he's got the size, and that kind of tells you why he's more of a build-up speed wide receiver. But he can force missed tackles. He can create yak. He can win at all 3 levels of the field. He dominates on freaking slant routes. So, in TCU asked him to do that a whole hell of a lot, man. He ran slants for days. That's because he just kept winning when doing it. But the context, I'll go back real fast, is that, yes, he was ranked 4th in missed tackles forced last year. I'm going to kind of throw some cold water on a guy that I'm discussing very, very highly here. But of the 27 missed tackles forced last year, 11 of those came against Iowa State and SMU, who those 2 defenses couldn't tackle to save their damn lives. So, but even if we're discussing it, take all those away. 16 missed tackles forced in a freaking collegiate season is still really stinking good, dude. So, so I have him right now, and he's a deep cut because right now every spot you're looking at him, he's not ranked very highly. He's not expected to get high draft capital, but he's my wide receiver 11 right now. Why? Like, I really, really like this kid. But thoughts on McAllister, and I'll give you a few more deep cuts.
Yeah, you stole him from me. I mean, I echo a lot of what you said. And I think, like, the draft capital thing, it might have a lot to do with those off-field issues, which, like, I hate to see it. I don't like any of the players to have these issues, but we play with the players we have, right? And I think if that wasn't the case, where's that draft capital actually? I think maybe he would have, some more backers if we're talking about a player who might be in today.
He has a profile that says he should go round 2 of the NFL draft. Just saying.
Yeah, I agree. So, like, I'm in. I mean, this one's pretty easy late in your rookie drafts to take a shot on a player who should not be going that late.
I'll give you 2 more guys that I love, and I don't think either one of these guys are getting discussed nearly enough. Out of all of the slot archetype guys in this class, you have a hive for Antonio Williams. You got a hive for Zach Branch. People will fall over themselves to talk about some other guys, whether it's, Aaron Anderson, Josh Cameron, blah, 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 whoever. people need to discuss Kevin Coleman Jr. more. He's really freaking good. Like, I look at Kevin Coleman Jr. and I comp him to 2025 Wandale Robinson, where yes, he's a slot player, but he adds an element of verticality. And the difference between him and Antonio Williams and Zach Branch is he is a really good route runner, and he can win at all three levels of the field. He can give you verticality from the slot, as well as being 17th and 5th in missed tackles force over the last 2 years, where you look at the archetype of Antonio Williams and people are like, oh, he's a slot, he's an outside wide receiver too, blah, blah, blah. He did that in Clemson in 2024. And I'm like, did you go watch the film? Because that wasn't real outside perimeter wide receiver production. There was so much Tennessee kind of bunch formation schemed up stuff to where he's not on the line asked to just go route dudes up. So even the perimeter stuff is not real perimeter stuff. I mean, this is something I talked about when people said, you know, Jalen Polk was a perimeter wide receiver. And I was like, okay, sure thing. And so I look at all of those slot archetype guys. Kevin Coleman Jr. is my favorite guy out of that entire bucket. And I'm going to go deeper on a guy that, and you can correct me, I know I've said this a few times on this show, but like go out on social media and tell me I'm wrong before I launch into this, Wyatt. Have you heard anybody hype up freaking Eric Rivers?
No, I don't think so.
I think Eric Rivers is everything that people want Brennan Thompson to be. He is a smaller wide receiver. He's like 5'10" in the 170s. The difference between these two guys is Eric Rivers is a very good route runner. He has a firm understanding of leverage, setting up defensive backs. He was a true perimeter wide receiver throughout college. You look at the production profile. Was it amazing? No. But you also like go back to the film. He has elite speed. Like this guy goes out and just quietly just runs a 4.35 at the combine. Nobody cares. It's okay. He's at Georgia Tech, so he's not getting buzz. Like if he would have gone to like say in Alabama and everybody like fawns over freaking Jeremy Bernard, I still don't understand it to this day because I look at him as being a solid but not an amazing wide receiver. But Eric Rivers, I think he is being slept on in this class, and I'm not telling you that he's going to profile as a wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2 in an NFL offense, but a player that you were going to get dirt cheap last round pick of your rookie draft. Hell, you're going to pick him up off of waivers and stash him on a taxi squad. Don't be surprised, man, when he goes into a camp and he starts making some noise because the kid can freaking play. You look at the Georgia Tech offense, and I like Haynes King a good bit, but like that offense was basically it was game manager stuff. Like it was like, okay, we're just going to sit here and play keep away. We're going to play the safe stuff. We're not going to sit here and throw the freaking ball down the field and stuff like that. And Eric Rivers was also a product of the offensive scheme and environment that he found himself in. So how much can you tax a guy like that? I mean, I don't want to go overboard about it, but definitely a player that the analytics don't look amazing for, but I think the film speaks volumes to me.
Yeah, I'm part of the Antonio Williams hive, but I will admit that is a slot receiver and a slot receiver only.
Yes, he is a slot receiver. It's fine, but he is.
But he's only a slot receiver. But yeah, Coleman, Rivers, interesting names. It's just with them, with both of them. How much does the size limit them in the NFL once they get there? Coleman, I'm more confident in him translating compared to Rivers, just because I think that route running for him is
Coleman plays bigger than his size. To your point, like he's got. I'd have to pull it up real fast, but his contested catch rate was very surprising for a wide receiver of his size.
Yeah,
his contested catch, a 53.7% contested catch rate. You don't usually see that out of players his size and of slot archetypes. So he plays bigger than he is.
Yeah, I'm with you on those. This was great, Derek. I really appreciate you coming, bringing the deep cuts throughout. I really appreciate that. Before we get out of here, though, let everyone know where to find you, all those things.
Yeah, all the things and stuff is at Fantasy Pros, Betting Pros. Again, I'm going through all my prospect primers. Tight ends, the only one that is not live currently on the site. We will be live streaming the NFL draft coverage for day 1 and day 2 for Fantasy Pros. Check out all the podcasts. Check out the Fantasy Pros Dynasty YouTube channel, as well as the Tailgate, as well as the Fantasy Pros NFL Draft Show with Seth and myself. And this is a fantastic time, Wyatt. Much love, man. This was an awesome show. Thank you for having me. so much.
I appreciate you. The team over at Fantasy Pros is awesome. I love all those guys over there. On this side of things, you can follow me on Twitter at YB_FF. Make sure you've liked and subscribed to this video and all things Player Profiler. If you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, rate us 5 stars. Leave a comment everywhere. Let us know how we're doing, how you feel about these players, what you're thinking about your rookie drafts. I appreciate y'all. I'll see you next time.